You know that feeling, right? When you have this incredible flash of insight. It sort of blows your mind open.
Hmm.
But then maybe just hours later, you find yourself, well, slipping back, back into the old ways.
It happens so easily, doesn't it?
It really does. That feeling of, if only I could just keep this momentum going. It's pretty universal, I think, especially for professionals under pressure.
Absolutely.
It really brings home how that one decision, the choice to keep going, to push forward, how fundamentally it shapes our reality
It does.
and our professional path. But, well, sustaining that choice day after day, that's the real work, isn't it?
That's precisely it. The daily grind of commitment.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that, well, digs for those crucial insights and tries to offer you some really actionable wisdom for your journey. We aim to cut through all the noise, really, and bring you knowledge that actually makes a difference.
I have a worthy goal.
Today, our deep dive is all about that personal power. How do you unlock it? And perhaps more importantly, how do you sustain it? How do you make sure that amazing vision you have for yourself doesn't just fizzle out? And we're incredibly fortunate today. We're joined by Professor Mo Imam, who is truly a visionary expert, renowned really for his knack for boiling down complex ideas into practical strategies. Strategies for both personal and professional excellence. His insights into human potential, into what keeps us going, well, they've guided so many people to redefine what they thought was possible.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Moving people from just having those inspired moments to actually achieving lasting transformation. So let's dive right in, shall we? For those professionals in really demanding environments, I'm thinking, the high-pressure theater of a hospital, maybe the complex world of the boardroom, or even the detailed work in a research lab, what's the single biggest barrier? The most common thing you see that just derails that initial drive, that momentum we were just talking about?
That's a great question. And I think the most pervasive barrier, the one I see time and time again, is something I tend to call the inertia and doubt phenomenon.
Inertia and doubt.
Yes. It's that almost immediate tendency we have to slip back into familiar ways of thinking, familiar behaviors. It's often subconscious, you see.
Right.
You might have this profound aha moment, a real glimpse of your own potential, your capability, but then sometimes astonishingly quickly, maybe just hours later, the sheer weight of your present reality, the day-to-day demands, they just seem to cloud over that vision.
It gets buried.
Exactly. Your subconscious mind, which is fundamentally wired for comfort, for predictability,
Yeah.
it lets those old, familiar excuses creep back in, and they effectively block your path forward.
That makes sense. The comfort zone trap.
Precisely. It's quite surprising how easily we can convince ourselves that the current struggle, the current limitations, well, that they're the fixed truth, rather than just the temporary state we can actually change. And this gets amplified, doesn't it, in those high-pressure roles, where cognitive load, decision fatigue, they make that path of least resistance look incredibly tempting.
Hugely appealing. So, following on from that idea of ingrained patterns, you often talk about building muscles of resilience. I love that phrase. Could you unpack that a bit? What exactly are these muscles?
Certainly.
And why are they so vital for continuous growth, especially in those tough professional contexts, say like medicine or executive leadership?
Absolutely. These muscles of resilience are really the core capabilities you need for sustained achievement, for professional endurance, if you like.
Okay.
And the key thing is they're not fixed personality traits you're just born with. Not at all. They're dynamic skills, aptitudes that need constant strengthening, just like your physical muscles do.
Right, like going to the gym.
Exactly like that. So we're talking about things like commitment. That's the unwavering decision to see something complex through, whether it's a difficult project or ensuring the best patient outcome. Then there's motivation, that internal fire that keeps you going through, long shifts or looming deadlines. Focus, too. The ability to really direct your attention, your energy, without getting sidetracked. Absolutely vital during, say, a delicate operation or a high-stakes negotiation.
Indispensable.
And a deep sense of purpose. Understanding why you're doing what you do, what drives you through the relentless demands of your career. That's fundamental. And finally, perhaps most importantly, courage. That willingness to act decisively, ethically, even when you're facing fear or uncertainty.
So these are all things we can actively develop.
Precisely. They're skills. Think about it. They mirror the core competencies of any successful leader or practitioner, don't they? Commitment gets projects done. Motivation sparks innovation. Focus ensures strategic execution. Purpose aligns your effort with the bigger picture. And courage allows for those tough calls, those calculated risks. So just like a surgeon constantly hones their dexterity or a researcher sharpens their analytical skills, these mental and emotional muscles need regular, deliberate exercise to really thrive, especially when pressure's on.
That's a really powerful framework. It shifts the focus from do I have it to how do I build it?
Exactly. It's about cultivation.
So thinking practically then, if a listener, maybe a busy surgeon listening to this between cases or a consultant squeezed for time, if they could implement just one daily practice, just one, to start strengthening these muscles, what would be your top recommendation? And why that one?
Right. If there's only one thing, my top recommendation without any hesitation would be to establish a structured routine. I call it the spiritual gym.
The spiritual gym. I like that.
Think of it as a non-negotiable investment, like a critical patient handover or your daily ward round. It's that important, but it's an investment in your mental and emotional capital.
Okay.
The key is consistency and deliberate practice. Ideally, aim for 15 to 30 minutes. First thing in the morning is usually best, before the day properly grabs hold of you.
Before the chaos begins.
Precisely. And this isn't about sort of vague, wishy-washy positive thinking. No. It's a focused workout for your mind, for your belief system, for your emotional resilience.
So what does that actually involve?
Well, from a neurological standpoint, this consistent early morning input actually primes your brain for the day ahead. It starts laying down positive neural pathways, reinforces a growth mindset. You wouldn't go to a physical gym just once and expect to stay strong forever, would you?
Of course not.
Your inner strength is exactly the same. It needs constant cultivation. This daily practice becomes the bedrock, the foundation for maintaining motivation, fostering that belief in what might seem impossible, and sustaining focus. It equips you to navigate even the most complex, emotionally taxing professional situations.
Let's unpack that spiritual gym idea a bit more then, because it really does sound like a powerful metaphor for consistent self-improvement, especially for high achievers.
It is.
What exactly does the workout involve? You said it's more than just general positive thinking. Can you walk us through some of the specific exercises?
Yes, absolutely. The spiritual gym is, as you say, truly holistic. It's designed to cultivate deep, lasting change from the inside out. So first, and I'd argue possibly the most impactful element, is the practice of unearthing limiting beliefs.
Okay, getting to the root cause.
Exactly. This goes way beyond just acknowledging a challenge you're facing. It involves actively identifying and then addressing those really deep-seated internal stories, those narratives that whisper, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough for that.
We all have those whispers.
We do. And tackling them might involve dedicated self-reflection, perhaps journaling quite meticulously to map out recurring negative thought patterns. Or it could involve using powerful affirmations, specifically designed to rewire how you see yourself.
Whatever it takes, basically.
Yes. The common thread is the willingness to confront and dismantle those mental constructs, the ones that you've learned over time, because they aren't, in fact, the truth of who you are or what you're capable of.
Can you give an example, maybe for a professional?
Sure. Let's say a medical professional, very skilled clinically, might unconsciously hold a belief like, oh, I'm just not cut out for leadership, despite having years of experience and clear ability.
Right.
Unearthing that belief means asking,
Right.
where did that story come from? Is it actually based on fact?
Yeah.
And then, crucially, how can challenging this belief allow me to step into opportunities I've been avoiding, maybe leading a new department or spearheading that research project that could genuinely transform patient care?
So it directly unlocks potential.
Directly. This process, yes, it can be uncomfortable sometimes, but it directly impacts your capacity for professional growth, for innovation.
Okay, so unearthing limiting beliefs is number one. What else is in the workout?
Secondly, we integrate mindfulness and gratitude. This means regularly practicing meditation, even if it's just for a few minutes each day, or systematically creating gratitude lists, actively fostering a profound, almost visceral appreciation for your life, your experiences, the good things.
Getting present.
Yes, it's about that intentional connection to the present moment, anchoring yourself amidst the, frankly, relentless pace of professional life. And the benefits are well documented, aren't they? Stress reduction, improved cognitive function, especially when making complex decisions. It can significantly help mitigate burnout by consistently shifting your focus towards abundance, not scarcity.
So even a brief pause can help.
Absolutely. For a busy clinician, maybe a brief mindfulness exercise just before a critical procedure, it can sharpen focus, reduce anxiety.
Okay.
Hugely beneficial.
Okay. Beliefs, mindfulness, gratitude. What's next?
Next is inspirational consumption. This means consciously and consistently engaging with powerful speakers, educators, maybe through podcasts like this one, or online lectures, reading biographies of inspiring figures who've overcome huge odds, professional or personal, even listening to music that genuinely cultivates feelings of invincibility, of resolve.
Feeding your mind good stuff.
Precisely. It's about consciously feeding your mind with positive, expansive energy. Energy that reinforces possibility, broadens your understanding of what humans can achieve. Think of it as, well, intellectual and emotional nutrition for your aspirations, drawing from that deep well of collective wisdom and experience.
I like that. Intellectual nutrition.
And then finally, we harness the power of affirmations and visualization. This really taps into the immense power of repetition.
Repetition is reality, as you say.
Exactly. Consciously repeating affirmations until they become internalized truths, until they feel real, and regularly engaging with something like a vision board, staring at it, feeling it.
Sounds a bit out there for some.
It might sound it, but it's about actively optimizing your cognitive framework. It's about shaping your inner dialogue, impressing your desired reality onto your subconscious mind. The source of your desire, the thing you want, is intrinsically linked to the source of its manifestation. By aligning your inner world, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, you actively open the pathway for your external reality to sort of coalesce around your aspirations.
Right. So it's not magic, it's psychology.
It's deliberate psychological practice. You're reinforcing positive neural pathways that influences your perception, your motivation, and crucially, the actions you then take.
Right. It changes how you show up.
Fundamentally. And ultimately, success isn't this fixed destination, is it? It's not a single achievement you tick off and then you can just rest on your laurels.
No, it's ongoing.
It's a continuous way of being and adapting and growing. And the brilliant thing is, it genuinely gets easier the more you practice it.
So the spiritual gym isn't optional if you want sustained success.
If you aspire to be a truly successful professional and to sustain that success over the long haul, maintaining some form of the spiritual gym workout becomes paramount, especially when you're driving towards a really significant professional goal. This practice, it transforms into your non-negotiable personal investment. That consistent daily discipline, ideally 15 to 30 minutes, first thing, it sets the tone.
It really does sound like a holistic approach, building resilience from the inside out, empowering us through that consistent effort.
It reminds me of another concept you introduced, which I find fascinating. You are an artist, and your masterpiece is your life. That's quite a statement. How does framing things creatively like that change how we see daily challenges, daily opportunities, particularly for people in demanding high-stakes jobs where, precision and objective reality often feel like the main focus?
Well, that framing is incredibly empowering, I find, because it shifts your whole perspective. You move from being a passive recipient of whatever life throws at you to being its active, deliberate creator.
Taking ownership.
Complete ownership. Imagine your world, your life as this vast canvas full of potential. Your desires, your professional goals, your aspirations, those are the initial sketches, the blueprints for what you want to create. Now, your thoughts, your words, your attitudes, that's the paint. It can be vibrant or it can be dull. Precise or chaotic, it all depends on your internal state.
Right, the quality of the paint matters immensely. And your body, that's the brush. The instrument you use to operate in the physical world, to execute tasks, to interact with colleagues, with patients.
And the actions.
Your actions are the brushstrokes, the direct application of your intention onto that canvas. Whether it's performing that complex surgery or leading that strategic meeting or writing that report, each action is a stroke.
Okay, this metaphor is building nicely.
Then your beliefs. Those are the skills you bring to bear, the techniques you use to apply the paint. They determine the mastery, the clarity, the effectiveness of your work.
Our skill set.
Exactly. And finally, your faith in your own potential and your expression of gratitude. Those determine how extraordinary, how truly magnificent your life's work of art becomes.
Wow. That's comprehensive.
So when you look at your life through this lens, those perceived struggles or setbacks in your painting, they're not failures anymore.
What are they then?
They become prompts. Prompts for investigation. Active problem-solving opportunities. If a project isn't going well, or a team dynamic feels off, this framework encourages you to ask, okay, which part of my artistic process needs mastering here?
Right, diagnosis.
Precisely. For instance, am I taking bold actions, strong brushstrokes, but consistently undermining them with a negative attitude about the workload? That's like using vibrant strokes but with muddy gray paint.
Okay, I see.
Or perhaps, Am I crystal clear on my professional desires? The sketch is perfect, but I'm held back by this limiting belief that my team isn't capable enough. That's like having a brilliant sketch, but being convinced your brush isn't good enough to execute it.
That makes so much sense.
This metaphor powerfully reinforces that idea. Each thought, feeling, and action is something you have the power to change. It's all about agency. You are creating your reality.
It transforms problems into artistic challenges.
Exactly. Challenges to be overcome with imagination, strategic choices, new, exciting actions. Actions aimed at bringing as much beauty and effectiveness into the world, into your work, as you possibly can.
That really does reframe everything.
Mhm.
Seeing challenges as opportunities for artistic refinement rather
Yeah.
than just brick walls.
Mhm.
And staying on this theme of inner power, you suggest something quite radical, really, that confidence isn't something we need to acquire. It's actually already within us.
Yes, I firmly believe that.
So how do we access that? How do we tap into this innate confidence when external stuff or past experiences, maybe a professional knockback or intense criticism, seem to have chipped away at it? When they make us doubt ourselves, doubt our worth.
This is such a crucial point
Yeah.
because we are essentially born with complete, robust confidence, innate self-esteem.
Like babies.
Think about it. Doubts, self-judgments, fears.
Mm.
They aren't intrinsic to who you are. They're largely mental constructs, learned patterns of thought, often developed over years in response to external experiences, conditioning, feedback.
Right.
Think of a toddler learning to walk. They fall down countless times, don't they? But what do? They get straight back up immediately, without a shred of self-doubt or embarrassment.
They just keep going.
That is our natural state, that inherent confidence.
Yeah.
So to access it again, I often encourage a simple but quite profound exercise.
Okay.
Just close your eyes, breathe deeply right down into your body. Allow your mind to quieten just for a moment and simply revel in the spectacularly unique essence that is you and only you.
Connect with your uniqueness.
Yes, think about it. Out of all the billions upon billions of humans who have ever existed or ever will exist,
Yeah.
there is, was, and will be only one you.
That's quite a thought.
That singular value, your unique perspective, your unique contribution, it is profoundly worth appreciating, worth celebrating, worth loving. When you truly internalize that uniqueness, that inherent worth, you connect to an undeniable source of inner power.
And that helps with fear.
Massively. This connection is vital when you're facing professional fears, high-stakes situations. There's that old saying, isn't there? If you run from your fears, they will chase you relentlessly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you run straight out your fears, they will often just dissipate or get the hell out of your way. Fears hate it when you do that.
So facing them head on.
Yes. And your innate confidence, once you tap into it, leaves much less room for those learned doubts to take hold. This is what enables, say, a medical professional to make critical decisions confidently under immense pressure, or a senior leader to navigate tricky organizational change with conviction, even when the outcome isn't certain. They're relying on an inner resource that was there all along.
That links beautifully to another point you make about the insidious nature of excuses. You call them fake news, which is quite punchy.
Yuckles, well, they often are.
Why are we so prone to making excuses and defending them, sometimes quite fiercely, and how do they really hold us back, especially in professional settings where accountability and proactive problem-solving are so valued?
An excuse, really, when you boil it down, is simply a challenge that you've decided has power over you. That's it.
Okay, a challenge you've given power to.
Yes, if you are genuinely, truly committed to changing your life or achieving a specific professional goal, you will find a way. You'll navigate the obstacles, you'll overcome them. If you are only, shall we say, kind of sort of serious about it, you will likely find an excuse instead.
Right, the commitment level is key.
It is. And we're remarkably good at creating and defending excuses because, well, they offer momentary relief, don't they? A liberation from responsibility. They help us avoid confronting our fears. And crucially, they keep us tucked up safely in our psychological comfort zone.
Avoiding the discomfort of change.
Precisely. It's often easier, isn't it, to blame a project delay on a difficult colleague
Yeah.
rather than acknowledging perhaps I need to improve my own communication or delegation skills here.
Deflection.
Excuses actively prevent us from opening ourselves up to those unknown possibilities. The possibilities that can only reveal themselves if we let go of these self-imposed limits. And the cost is huge, truly immense. Please, please do not waste your one and only chance to be the magnificent you that is you on this planet, screwing around with excuses. not when you possess the inherent power to create whatever you desire.
That's a powerful plea.
Whether it's procrastinating on that vital research paper by telling yourself, I'm just too overwhelmed right now, or avoiding a difficult but necessary conversation with a peer because you think, oh, it won't make any difference anyway, excuses are a form of fake news you tell yourself. And they severely limit your potential. They stop you stepping into your full professional power. They are, quite simply, a self-imposed prison of inaction and missed opportunity.
A prison of inaction.
Yeah.
Wow. And you also talk about repetition is reality. Could you expand on that? How does what we constantly expose ourselves to, inside and out, fundamentally shape our world and our professional success?
Yes, this ties in closely. What we consistently have on repeat, whether we're consciously choosing it or it's running unconsciously in the background, this incrementally shapes and reinforces our perceived reality.
What kind of things?
Everything, really. Our internal thoughts, obviously. The information we consume, what we read, what we listen to, the conversations we have, and crucially, what we consistently tell ourselves about our capabilities or circumstances, our potential.
That inner monologue.
Exactly. This repetition is reality concept is precisely why consistent affirmations can be so effective. They literally help rewire neural pathways. It's why regularly engaging with a vision board is so powerful it primes the subconscious. It's why diligently practicing gratitude is so transformative for our emotional state.
It's about shaping the input.
Deliberately shaping the internal landscape, which then manifests in and influences your external experiences. Yeah, Audiogram point 1. What we consistently have on repeat, whether consciously or unconsciously, incrementally shapes and reinforces our perceived reality. It's about deliberately shaping the internal landscape that then manifests and influences your external experiences.
So how does this apply specifically in a professional context?
Well, think about the constant inputs in a professional's life. The daily discussions you have with colleagues. The self-talk you engage in when you're facing a complex diagnosis or a tough negotiation. The industry news and research you consume. Even the quality of the people in your professional network, your peer group.
All repetitive inputs.
Exactly. Each of these inputs is an act of repetition, and each one reinforces a certain reality about what's possible for you, what's challenging, what's desirable in your field.
So we need to curate these inputs.
Meticulously. If you want to strategically upgrade your professional world, you must take stock of what's currently on auto loop.
How do we do that practically?
I suggest an exercise. Identify maybe 5 things, recurring beliefs, frequent complaints, passive activities you default to, or limiting environments you spend time in that consistently act as de-energizers in your professional life. Buzzkills, if you like.
Okay, list the buzzkills.
Then, and this is the critical part, write down specific, actionable ways you will immediately upgrade each one. It could mean choosing to listen to an inspiring industry leader on a specialist podcast during your commute instead of defaulting to, say, negative news radio. Or intentionally steering team meetings toward solution-focused discussions rather than getting bogged down in complaint loops.
Making conscious choices.
Meticulously curating your internal and external environment. Proactively ensuring it supports your quest for professional excellence. Because your reality isn't just happening to you, it's being continuously and actively created by you through this consistent input.
Audio stinger. We've covered so much ground on building that internal strength, reframing our personal narrative. Let's explore now how these principles apply when we face maybe smaller daily struggles or external challenges. You share a really lovely story, actually, about a cracked pot. It offers such a different perspective on what we might see as flaws.
Ah, yes, the crash pot.
How does that analogy help us? How can it encourage us to embrace our imperfections, maybe even find power in them? Especially thinking about highly competitive professional fields where perfection often feels like the only acceptable standard.
The story of the cracked pot is, I think, a really profound parable. It beautifully illustrates that everything in our reality is reflected back to us depending entirely on how we choose to perceive it.
Perception is key.
Absolutely. So the pot in the story, it feels like a complete failure, a big fat loser because of its crack. It feels inadequate. But the woman who carries it, she compassionately shows it that its very crack, the thing it saw as a terrible flaw, has been consistently watering the path she walks every day. And as a result, it's created this stunning line of flowers along that path.
Wow. So the flaw created beauty.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It highlights that your perceived flaws, your imperfections, they can either be strikes against you, things that hold you back, or they can be part of what makes you uniquely awesome. It's entirely your choice of perception.
How does that translate professionally, say in medicine, where mistakes feel so critical?
Well, in any professional setting, but particularly in fields like medicine, where, as you say, striving for clinical perfection is so deeply ingrained, this analogy can be incredibly liberating. For example, a doctor might perceive a personal weakness in, say, public speaking as a significant professional flaw. They might avoid conferences or big presentations. But perhaps that very crack, that perceived weakness, led them instead to develop truly exceptional one-on-one communication skills with their patients, building profound trust and understanding in the intimacy of the consultation room.
A different kind of strength.
Exactly. A strength that might ultimately be far more impactful for their patients and their own job satisfaction than being a slick public speaker.
So not only is self-compassion, loving yourself with all your perceived quirks and flaws a much more joyful and sustainable way to walk through life, but you genuinely never know what brilliance might sprout up from your temporary failures or your imperfections.
Unexpected positive.
Absolutely. Sometimes by embracing an imperfection, acknowledging a misstep, maybe even owning a screw-up, you might inadvertently create something far more beautiful and effective than what you initially set out to create. Something you wouldn't even have known existed otherwise.
That's a really hopeful message. It encourages us to see our full selves, warts and all, as valuable assets.
It does indeed. Now, shifting slightly. In today's world, it feels like we're constantly bombarded. The news cycle, negativity online. It can be overwhelming for anyone, let alone professionals who are already dealing with critical information overload daily.
It's a huge challenge.
You advise finding a personal tipping point, a balance between staying informed, which is often necessary professionally, and becoming paralyzed by hopelessness or anxiety. How do we actually find that balance? And how do we transform our reactions into something productive?
Yes, it is incredibly challenging, isn't it?
Yeah.
To consistently maintain that optimistic, high-frequency, and useful mindset when faced with all the distressing information that's constantly coming at us.
Yeah.
From global crises down to specific challenges within our own industries or workplaces.
It really is draining.
The fundamental key, I believe, is to identify your own personal tipping point. You need to become aware of that precise threshold for yourself. The point where staying informed crosses over into becoming emotionally overwhelmed or feeling paralyzed by it all. Hopeless.
So self-awareness first.
Absolutely. And once you recognize that point for yourself, you must intentionally, proactively shift your focus. Turn your attention towards something that lifts you up and energizes you instead.
It's not about burying your head in the sand, though.
Not at all. The goal here isn't ignorance. It's about proactive, productive engagement. It's about learning to channel those strong emotions effectively. Channel your anger into constructive action. Channel your sadness into compassionate care. Channel your shock into meaningful involvement, perhaps with local groups or professional initiatives that really resonate with your core values.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of endlessly scrolling through distressing news articles about, say, healthcare system pressures, feeling increasingly powerless, a medical professional might choose to dedicate a specific, time-limited slot to understand the core issues. And then, crucially, channel their frustration into advocating for policy change within their professional body, or perhaps volunteering some time with a local community health program addressing a specific need.
Taking action rather than just absorbing negativity.
Exactly. The more you consciously focus on the positive and solution-oriented aspects, instead of getting perpetually sucked down by the negative, the more energy you'll actually have to help. And the more light you'll bring to situations that sorely need your expertise, your presence, your positive energy.
It's about being useful and impactful.
Not just perpetually informed and ultimately disempowered by it all.
That's a critical distinction, moving from passive consumption to active contribution. Now, one of the simplest, yet you say most profound activities you highlight is intentional breathing. You use the lovely phrase, smelling the rose.
Nice.
How can something so basic, a simple physiological function, hold so much power? Power for centering ourselves, connecting to our most powerful selves, especially when time is so often tight for professionals.
Breathing truly is one of the most centering, relaxing, and profound activities we've got. And its power lies largely in its immediate accessibility.
It's always available.
Always. It requires no special kit, no particular place. You can do it anywhere, anytime. By just taking a few deliberate moments to pause, to consciously disengage from all the external mental chatter, and simply breathe deeply. You grant yourself essential space and the focus. Space to connect with your intrinsic energy, your core self, to tap into your most powerful, centered self.
And there's a physiological effect, too.
Oh, definitely. Deep, intentional breathing directly activates the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest system. It lowers your heart rate, reduces stress hormones like cortisol, and actually improves mental clarity.
Just from breathing differently.
Yes, and the smelling the rose method is just a simple but remarkably effective way to help facilitate this.
How does that work?
You inhale deeply, really deeply. Consciously imagine the breath traveling right down to your feet. Close your eyes. Focus entirely on the physical sensation of that moment, the air filling your lungs, and truly relish that full expansion and then the contraction as you exhale.
It sounds very grounding.
It is. It's not just about oxygen exchange, though that's important too. It's about anchoring your consciousness firmly in the present moment, allowing for a brief but really potent physiological and mental reset.
So useful for busy professionals.
Immensely.
Yeah.
For professionals juggling back-to-back demands, a few intentional deep breaths taken between meetings, maybe just before walking into a critical presentation or prior to having a difficult conversation with a patient or colleague. It can demonstrably clear the mind, reduce that background hum of stress, and restore a sense of calm and clarity. That enables more effective decision-making, more empathetic interaction, skills that are absolutely crucial in any leadership role, or any patient-facing role for that matter.
So leveraging a basic function for profound benefit.
Precisely. It's leveraging a primal function for profound mental and emotional gain.
That really highlights the power of those micro-pauses in high-pressure situations. Let's pivot now, more towards action. You stress that all the tiny bits matter in a very large way. You compare life to a pixelated picture. How can professionals, who are often juggling really big ambitions, complex, multi-stage projects, how can they truly appreciate the significance of those seemingly small daily tasks? The admin, the routine checks.
This concept is absolutely vital.
Yeah.
Vital for sustained progress. Vital for actually achieving those ambitious goals. Your reality, your professional trajectory, your big successes, they are composed entirely of all those seemingly small bits and pieces, your everyday efforts. Just like a high-resolution photograph is made up of millions, even trillions, of tiny individual pixels, each one matters to the final image.
So no task is too small.
No matter how minor a task might appear, when it's executed meticulously and when it's aligned, pointing in the direction of your overarching goal, it significantly contributes to your progress. It adds a pixel to the picture. Therefore, it's imperative. You have to treat each small task with the strategic importance it inherently carries.
Can you give an example?
Of course. Let's say you're a medical researcher, and your big ambition is to publish a truly seminal paper. Meticulously reviewing just 2 new scientific abstracts each day might seem tiny, almost insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
Right, easily skipped.
But just imagine the cumulative depth of knowledge, the fresh insights that simple daily habit will yield over several months or a year. Each small, consistent effort compounds, often in ways that lead to breakthroughs you couldn't have imagined at the start.
The compounding effect.
Exactly. The key is to prevent the sheer scale of your grand ambitions from making you dismiss or devalue these essential tiny bits. They are the building blocks.
So how do we keep that perspective?
Well, here's a rather powerful affirmation I sometimes suggest. Something to keep your focus firmly on the strategic importance of each small step. This moment is a vital component of a whole exceptional life that I'm creating. What I choose to do in this very moment defines who I am and how I effectively show up in the world. I'm dedicated to creating an extremely impactful and fulfilling life for myself, so I'm taking this moment seriously, getting the hell on it, and staying in excited expectation of the stupendousness hurtling toward me.
Tuckles. That's quite an affirmation. Getting the hell on it.
It focuses the mind. It transforms even mundane tasks from chores into powerful, intentional components of your grand professional vision. Each email answered properly, each note written clearly, it all adds up.
Shifting perception again. Seeing routine tasks as significant building blocks. Now, a very common struggle for many people is resisting immediate gratification. You know, those fleeting cravings, the constant digital distractions, those bad but kind of fun ideas that pop into our heads.
Yes, the siren's call.
You suggest they're often just transient impulses, wimpy blips, I think you called them?
Chuckles, yes. Fleeting and wimpy.
So what's the trick? How do we stay disciplined? How do we course correct when these temptations arise, especially in a world that seems saturated with constant pings and notifications demanding our attention?
Audiogram point 2. It's absolutely true that most cravings, distractions, and unproductive impulses are often extremely fleeting and remarkably weak blips. And crucially, so is their immediate gratification. It doesn't last.
It feels powerful in the moment, though.
It does. But the effective strategy for resisting them is to deliberately train your focus, not on the fleeting urge, but on the compelling long-term outcome of your desired success. The bigger picture.
Focus on the why.
Precisely. Rather than focusing on the momentary, ultimately less satisfying dopamine hit you get from succumbing to the distraction. For example, if you're tempted to spend the next hour just scrolling through professional social media feeds, LinkedIn, Twitter, instead of tackling that critical strategic planning document that really needs doing,
A common scenario.
consciously remind yourself that ephemeral dopamine rush from just scrolling, it will be far, far less satisfying than the profound sense of accomplishment, the career progression, the actual impact you'll gain from completing your crucial work. The work that contributes directly to your professional purpose.
Delaying gratification for a bigger win.
Exactly. Or, another example, if the thought of a quick, unhealthy snack pops up when you're committed to healthier eating, maybe for sustained energy and better cognitive function during your demanding workday, redirect your focus. Conjure up the image of your vibrant, energetic self, performing at your peak capacity right through the afternoon, making sharp decisions.
Don't feed the impulse.
Exactly. These transient impulses, they only grow if we feed them with our attention. Staying disciplined isn't really about battling some ferocious, untamable psychological beast. It's often simply a matter of briefly waiting and strategically refocusing your attention elsewhere.
It sounds easier said than done sometimes.
The perceived difficulty is actually a choice you make. Think about it. Living a life in which you're constantly letting yourself down, feeling powerless against distractions and impulses, that is genuinely hard. It feels awful in the long run. Whereas waiting just a few seconds, deliberately retraining your focus to achieve success, that is comparatively easy. When you frame it like that,
Choosing your heart.
choosing your heart, it's about consistently choosing the lasting rewards, the professional impact, the self-respect over the fleeting, ultimately empty distraction. Every single time that choice comes up.
Brilliant. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. A quick lightning round for our listeners, particularly those navigating that intense pace of professional life. Short, sharp answers if you can.
Ready.
Okay. What's one unexpected tool or habit for an immediate mindset shift when you feel completely overwhelmed?
Okay, unexpected. A short, vigorous vocal release. Find a private space. Maybe scream your head off in your car for 3 minutes. Or even just into a pillow if you don't have a car. It's surprisingly cathartic. Releases tension instantly. Quite awesome, actually.
Slaps. Okay, screaming into a pillow. Got it. Next. If someone feels professionally stuck, really stuck, and just pushing harder isn't working, what's a simple, immediate change they can make today?
Unplug. Turn off the notifications. Take a deliberate time out. Stop pushing harder. True success, real breakthroughs, often emerge from being in a state of flow, not from forcing things until they break. Remember that wise saying, meditate for an hour a day. But if you're really busy...
Meditate for 2?
Exactly. Sometimes the most productive thing is to pause and find clarity.
Great advice. How can we best leverage the power of other people on our personal transformation journey, especially when we're aiming for ambitious professional goals?
Actively seek out accountability. Find a mastermind partner, a mentor you respect, perhaps a professional coach, someone you have to answer to regularly, maybe weekly. We are demonstrably far more likely to show up, to commit fully, to stretch ourselves when someone else is involved, expecting our progress. It's why running partners work. Team up strategically with awesome people.
Makes sense. Accountability partners. Okay, what's a powerful and practical way to reframe those common professional complaints we all have into positive, energizing affirmations?
Take your favorite, most frequent complaint, the one you wheel out all the time, turn it completely inside out, and consciously make that your new favorite affirmation. So for example, if your go-to complaint is, "Ugh, I'm utterly exhausted by my workload,"
Familiar.
transform it into, "I'm excited to meet my day, and this excitement provides me with abundant energy." Say it. Feel it. Remember, the language you use, internally and externally, profoundly shapes your reality. What comes out of your mouth fundamentally comes into your life.
We turn complaints inside out. Love it. Finally, a concluding thought for embracing discomfort, because transformation often involves discomfort, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Right.
When you commit, truly commit, to profoundly transforming your life or your career, you simultaneously commit to deliberately experiencing significant discomfort over and over again. So, make peace with the unfamiliar. Befriend the challenging. Welcome those feelings of resistance. That discomfort, it isn't a signal to stop or retreat. Quite the contrary. It is a powerful indicator that you are precisely on the verge of a breakthrough. It is, in essence, the unmistakable signature of growth.
Embrace discomfort as the signature of growth. Powerful. Well, what an incredibly insightful and profoundly practical deep dive that was. Thank you. Let's try and encapsulate some key actionable takeaways for everyone listening, especially those navigating the complexities of their professional life.
Please.
Okay, first takeaway. Rigorously embrace the spiritual gym. Treat your motivation, your belief, your focus as vital muscles. They need daily, consistent workouts, even if it's just 15 minutes of affirmations or that intentional breathing each morning. It's your non-negotiable, strategic investment in your own resilience.
Crucial.
Second, consciously become the artist of your life. Recognize that your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, they are the paint, the meticulous strokes creating your reality. Whether that's the atmosphere in your team, the quality of your patient care, or the entire trajectory of your career. You have the inherent power to strategically change any part of your masterpiece.
You are the creator.
Third, unequivocally ditch the fake news of excuses. Understand that excuses. They just offer a momentary escape from responsibility. They actively keep you constrained within your comfort zone. Find a deliberate way to push past them, knowing that your true, innate confidence is already inside you, just waiting to be unleashed.
Let it out.
Fourth, diligently cultivate a high vibration reality. Be meticulous. Be conscious about what you expose yourself to. Your internal self-talk, the professional media you consume, the people you choose to spend your valuable time with. Remember, repetition, internal and external, fundamentally shapes your professional world and your potential within it.
Choose your inputs wisely.
And finally, number 5, embrace imperfection and take decisive action. Those things you perceive as flaws, paradoxically, they can be profound sources of unique strength. They might lead you to create something far more beautiful, more effective than you ever imagined. Any professional low point, any setback, it's simply a starting point for a new, better way forward. So don't wait for the perfect time. Start now. Even if it's with tiny, consistent, intentional steps.
Start where you are, with what you have.
Exactly. Professor, thank you so much for guiding us through such a profound and yet practical deep dive today. Your insights are genuinely transformative for anyone looking to unlock their full potential.
It has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. I genuinely hope this conversation encourages listeners to really tap into their inherent capacity for greatness and to apply these principles in their daily lives, both professional and personal.
And to you, our valued listener, thank you as always for joining us on the deep dive. If this discussion resonated with you today, perhaps consider sharing this deep dive with a colleague or a friend who you think might benefit from these insights. And maybe leave us a rating wherever you listen. We genuinely love hearing from you, and it really does help us reach more curious minds like yours. Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and keep thriving.